Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, cha, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jedley. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We're coming to you from the beautiful, wonderful, sunny neighborhood of Reedville, located in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so honored and absolutely delighted that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to be writing books for kids of all ages. You can join us in our mission by telling all of your family and friends about the show and letting them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM FM 24/7 radio network. And they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Amazon Music, Podcast Addict, Audible, CastBox, Player FM. Wherever you find your favorite shows, you can find Reading with Your Kids. Fantastic show lined up for you today. First off, we're going to have a lot of fun with Dev Petty and Mike Boldt. They're here to celebrate Don't Lose Mr. Cuddles. And later in the show, we get a little bit more serious talking to Lee Benson about his Value Creation Kid program.
Have you outgrown your health insurance plan or just not happy with what you're paying for? The number one reason we all change our health insurance is price. Are you paying too much for your health insurance? Would you like to have better coverage at a better rate or at little or no cost to you? Your life needs are always changing, but have you done anything to improve your health insurance for you and your family? Health insurance laws and coverage are always changing and getting better. It's impossible to do all the research yourself, but now it's all done for you for free. So regardless of your age or medical condition, take a few minutes right now and find out if you can save money or even qualify for zero-cost health insurance in your state. Call now.
Paid for by Cheaper Health Insurance. 800-932-1656. 800-932-1656. 800-932-1656. That's 800-932-1656.
Hey, my friends, we are going to have a fantastic time today. We are celebrating the release of a new picture book. It's called Don't Lose Mr. Cuddles. Joining us first, the author, Dev Petty. Hey, Dev, how are you?
I am fine. Thank you for having us.
Glad to have you back. And also joining us from Canada, the illustrator, Mike Boldt. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here today, Jen.
Happy to have you back. Hey, Dev, why don't we start with you? Tell us all about, remind us who we're going to be meeting in this book.
Well, this is the third of the Chip the Dog books. And Chip is our sort of enthusiastic, what you see is what you get. Everything's a super idea dog. And he's kind of full of verve and enthusiasm for everything he does. And so this is the third one. And in this, he misplaces sort of, though I don't want to give the big twist away, but his very special friend, Mr. Cuddles, who's a toy, is missing. And it's sort of the mystery therein. So it's a fun one. And I think kids will relate to, I know my kids had favorite toys that went missing, and God help us, it was really like a family trauma even. And it's sort of about how it's okay to sort of imbue certain things and certain toys with like a real affection and real love. And it's a fun one. I enjoy it. It has like a little more sweetness than the other two, which are a little salty. And this one has a real sweet part to it. So I don't know. I'm really actually... I love it. I love how it came together. It's fun. I love writing this character. So it's a blast. I love Chip.
Mike, tell me, as you're illustrating this book, were you throwing in little hints as to where Mr. Cuddles could be, or is the audience just as clueless as Chip?
Honestly, I kind of just followed the dialogue. I didn't really put any hints in from what I can remember, at least not deliberately. You never know. Sometimes there's things in there that people are like, hey, that pointed to this, or they'll point something out in your own work. Kind of unintentional, maybe a little subconscious. But yeah, for the most part, no. I kind of wanted to match whatever's in the text. I try to make sure that I'm not over contributing. I want to contribute exactly what's there. And if there's something I'll add in, it'll be for the image itself and not so much in like trying to give a hint away or something like that.
Yeah. Dev, has it, as an author, and one of the things I was very surprised, I was surprised about a lot of things when I started this, but, the whole idea that typically with a traditionally published book, the author and the illustrator have very little, if any, communication with each other, and notes from the author aren't necessarily welcomed. And that hard for you to accept when you started writing picture books?
No, I mean, I think, I worked in film for a long time in effects, and so I'm sort of used to like that compartmentalizing of things, and I get asked about collaboration a lot in picture books, and my sort of hot take, honestly, is I love working with Mike, and I have a sense when I'm writing of what Mike needs, like an art note about or whatever. But by and large, my hot take is I think everybody does better work when they do their own thing and they don't get in each other's mess too much. I think, when you get ownership of it, and I trust Mike, and, I'm not necessarily always stoked on what's happened necessarily in all my books, because I have, a bunch of books now, but that's the risk of it. And so, the more I grow as a writer, the more I know like what I need to put in. But, unless it's like directing a joke or a bit or something, I would never say like characters should be smiling and brown girl with curly hair or whatever. I just think I do my part and then it moves on. So I'm not a huge collaborative person. I think I never liked group projects, to be honest.
Yeah, I can feel you on that. I remember back when I was starting my career doing educational magic shows, I kind of went into it with a video. I'd made a disabilities awareness video, and that was kind of my first step into it. And that was just basically a live show. We shot it and put it together. But after that, people were like, oh, well, you got to do video. And so I started working with a team of teachers to do video. And I came in with the script, and I said, well, what do you guys think of this? Give me some direction and whatnot. By the time everybody was happy with the script, it wasn't mine. And
right.
I just said, I don't want to do this. I am not.
Yeah.
This is
yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are the risks. But, I mean, I do better work when I get to be me.
Yeah.
And the further I go in this career, it's like the more I just kind of lean into warts and all of whatever makes me me and my writing and my point of view, the better I seem to do. So, I feel it's got to be the same for artists. You just have to do your part. And Mike is amazing. Like, he has like a really uncanny ability to like sort out and to organize how a story is told. That's really exceptional and different from a lot of illustrators. So I can kind of throw this like random, like it's like part riff, part list, part joke, part bit, part heart, and he somehow can like make it all work. So I never worry. I kind of can just shoot things off and it comes together, and I'm like, how did you do this? It's amazing.
Mike, Dev mentioned that Chip is a little sweeter in this book than he was in the others. He's a little saltier in the first two. Did that change the way that you illustrated Chip?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously Chip's probably a little bit happier in a lot of the images in this one, but Chip generally feels like a very happy character. Like Chip is like I don't know.
He's a hooray for everything. Yeah.
Yes. He's one of these characters I've actually like really enjoyed illustrating Chip. And I always tell, when I go to schools and visit schools, I'll tell the kids that I actually built Chip is is kind of in his name. He's two potato chips generally for his body shape, one for his head shape and one for his body. And then, of course, some other shapes and stuff too. But I think in the approach I even take to who his character is, you kind of are able, like, oh, if this is a sad page, if this is an angry page, if this is a happy page, I feel, or just a curious page, or like just dumb innocence. I feel like Deb's writing really like lets me know what I'm supposed to portray for Chip's emotional state on that page. And I just relate well to who his character is, as far as like understanding what I need to do and how I want him to look. Like, I just feel like I really get who Chip is, as a character.
Yeah. I love that, you're talking about Chip being two potato chips. That's, I am blown away. We sometimes create these, drawing with your kids videos where, illustrator would come in and demonstrate how they created a character. And I remember one of the first ones, we did, the illustrators talking about, we're going to make a bookshelf dragon, I think is what he called it. And he started with a circle, and then we draw a triangle, and we do this, and we just, and I'm looking at this video, and I'm like, ain't a dragon, that's just a bunch of shapes. And all of a sudden, he just did one little thing that connected. It was just like this, and all of a sudden, the dragon appeared. It was like I was watching a magic trick.
Yes. I think there is a lot of that. I think people look at, especially the kids, and they'll look at a finished drawing and they're holding a pencil and they're like, how does it get from here to there? Mm-hmm. And they think it's like instantaneous. It's like a magic touch. And there is the process of, I like to reveal to them, you use a lot of shapes, a lot of scribbling, a lot of erasing to get from that initial state to the finished state. And shapes, for me, that's a big part of it.
I don't know about you, Deb. I'm just blown away, and I have mad respect for illustrators because I have zero ability when it comes to creating visual art.
Well, it's so funny because I worked as an artist in film for a long time, and so like I can pretty capably go to like a figure drawing class and draw well. I can light things, I can paint, I'm good with composition, but I have no style at all. And that's the main thing. People always ask me, they're like, gosh, you were an artist for so long. Why don't you illustrate your own books? I'm like, because I don't have a point of view. That's basically it. I have no style. I can draw a dog that looks like a dog. That's what I can do. In fact, when I try to do art that I like, I do it with my left hand because that's the only way I can be kind of loose and wobbly and do what the style I like. So I draw lefty because it's the only way I can get any kind of motion, feeling, vibe in what I do. Otherwise, it's just like really tight and literal. I'm a really literal artist. So it's funny, the style, like Mike has like this style, it's like electric. It jumps off the page. It's bananas. I can't do it to save my life.
Mike, can you kind of expand on that idea of style in perspective of the illustrator?
I think style is something I think comes out with time. I mean, it's kind of like a raw portrayal of like who you are after all the observations you've made in life. And so I think for some people, and I think you could develop a style if you just kind of like do it more and you kind of like decide, like, I used to copy a lot of like Disney artists when I was like first trying to get into like publishing, not realizing that publishers actually look for a unique voice, not like that one that a lot of the Disney works or a lot of animation works. They have a very formulaic way of drawing the characters because there's a lot of people working on them. They need to have that formula for it so that there's a consistency. And then once someone said, hey, kind of like do things your own way, there was like this freedom, like, oh man, like I can like do something that's kind of like uniquely me and not trying to fit into the mold of like a big company, like an animation company. And so you slowly find it just making like observations based on like not just life, other artists you like. I've tried, like, you try to maybe at first you're imitating some other artists and stuff, and once you kind of like you imitate it. It can look just like theirs. But once you start like walking away from constantly observing what they do or what real life is, you start to find where your tendencies and characteristics and mannerisms of what you're observing comes out. And that's, I think, where like you kind of find a style.
Can you, I don't know how to phrase it. There's a lot of art that I like, but there's a lot of art that I just don't get. And I remember being in a modern art museum in Quebec, a beautiful museum, and in one gallery, and it was just the only painting in the gallery, there was just a canvas and it was blue. And that was it. And it probably cost $1 bazillion. I don't, and can you help me understand that, what's going on with those type of paintings, masterpieces?
Well, I mean, obviously art in the end, it's all subjective. So I mean, different people appreciate things for different reasons. A lot of art isn't just for like eye candy. Sometimes art, I think, is there to make you think. And I think art can also be like, whether it's like you're thinking of the process of how it's made, whether you're thinking of like a story or something behind it, like there's generally a reason for it. I'll admit, when I was young, I was really not a fan, and I kind of probably like disparaged a lot of modern art for just being, what I would consider simple. But I think I wasn't thinking about it from a lot of different perspectives. And I mean, at that point still, I was very heavily focused on like character-driven art or scenic art or very realistic art. What I saw and what I struggled with is where I saw like where the skill was in the making of it. And now I think I've come around realizing like, man, people just appreciate very different things. Not everyone is going to appreciate the exact same thing, even within children's illustration, let alone modern art or music or our favorite foods. And so something that might seem plain to someone, like even like a vanilla ice cream, for example, when you have all these other flavors and you can put all this other stuff and spend all this other work on it, that vanilla still might be someone's favorite. And maybe that's what that is for that blue piece.
Maybe. Dev, you're mentioning that this is the third book for Chip. Are there more in the works?
We'll see. I think we'll see how this one does. I've written a fourth one, but it's always like, how does this go? I also would love to do a book from the cat's perspective, Mittens, just because I think if Chip's very enthusiastic, Mittens has got to be a little like testy and salty and sarcastic. I mean, that's really like the whole thing with Chip is that he's like a dog. I mean, dogs don't understand sarcasm, right? Like, it's not like you come home from a hard day and you're like, how was your day? Oh, it was great. And a dog's like, yay, good, great. I'm glad you had a good day. Very much present and in the moment. And I can only imagine that the cat is the opposite of that, like pretty dour. So that would be fun. I mean, I could write Chip all day. I actually, when I'm in kind of a bad mood, I for sure like kind of write Chip books, or Chip bits. I have a whole file of like Chip speak. And I'm very good at shopping in my own closet. So, I'll poach from myself, like, oh, that little thing didn't work. I'll shove that over here and put that over there. And, so yeah, I love Chip is the most fun. And it's, the first one I wrote during the pandemic, and it was very much like, I don't want any message at all here at all. I don't want to like try and have a moral or a point or even a feeling. I just want to like smile and make other people smile. And so that was a time where I was very much like, should I even be in this business? Nothing's funny anymore. How do you find your mojo when like nothing was funny? And I struggle with that right now. Like nothing's super funny, to really access a whole different kind of humor. And, but like Chip is just really fun. I love this character. I would write Chip books in perpetuity. I love it. And I was thinking the other day of like the Mittens book, but also like maybe like Chip's book of very great ideas or something. That's just like great ideas by
All
Chip.
right.
Yeah.
That sounds like it could be fun. Do you think that's you'd enjoy illustrating Chip's book of great ideas, Mike?
As if Dev is writing Chip, I am more than happy to illustrate.
It's super. It's also that we all kind of get what we're going for here, and so the editor and we have the same agent. Everybody's kind of like gets Chip. It's easy. It's never a bad, difficult thing to put these books together. They just like fly because we're all kind of cheerful about it. It's great.
Hey,
I think just to throw in there, Jed, I think Deb nailed it. Like, we have a really great team, and we all seem to be like collectively on the same page as far as like when these ideas come together and when it comes to me. I know it's like I kind of almost like it's not a very difficult process to get in the mind of Chip and where Dev and our editor and art director and everyone are at, and it's actually a pleasure to work on these books.
Yes, it's kind of a breath of fresh air. It's nice.
Yeah.
Dev, Mike told us that when he talks to kids about Chip, he tells them he starts with 2 potato chips. What do you talk about when you are with a group of kids and we're discussing Chip?
I mean, it depends on the book, So, the first one is Don't Eat Bees and then Don't Trust Cats. And I haven't done anything with this one yet with kids. But, I kind of just talk about like, there's sort of, again, this sort of plainness and enthusiasm that Chip has and sort of this honesty. Mm-hmm. So I think I talk about that and what that is with dogs specifically, because I love dogs. And I love them for that sort of what you see is what you get. There's no pretense at all. So sometimes I talk with that. It's funny. This one I'm sort of expecting like 37 hands going, one time I lost my favorite blanket. And one time, it can always be a trap. In fact, at some point in the school visit, I mentioned that our previous snake, we have a snake now named Boots, and our previous snake, Mittens, had flown the coop and escaped and never came back. Oh. This was a mistake because then you had, again, 37 kids fill up the rest of the visit with all kinds of horrible things that had befallen their pets. And it was absolutely unstoppable. It was like, my dog ate a wood chip and it went through its esophagus, and the kid next to him starts crying and is like, what's an esophagus? And, it's like you can really make a mistake with these things. So I try to be careful, but I also, I love kids, but just because I have kids and just because I write for kids doesn't always mean that I'm like clairvoyant in terms of what not to say with kids. So I do step in it now and again.
I can appreciate that. I remember being in a school, in a gymnasium full of 600 kids in Indiana. And it was such great energy. You have that energy and just ideas are coming and I'm riffing. And I said to a kid in the crowd, what's your name? She said, Lizzie. I said, oh, Lizzie. In Massachusetts, we have a Lizzie Borden. And she looks at me and I go, oh, you never heard the poem about Lizzie?
Oh, no.
She said, no. And I go, oh, it's great. It's Lizzie Borden had an axe, gave her daddy for her. And I'm saying it and I'm like, I shouldn't be saying it.
And you can't stop yourself, right?
Exactly.
Right.
It's like watching a cart going over the edge of a cliff.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, I didn't today because I'm pretty comfortable and I got enough sleep, but typically I write in big marshmallow writing on my hand. I write, don't swear, because I am, unlike my colleague here, I am notorious. So you have to be careful. Like I may have a very well-developed like inner 6-year-old, which I do. But I'm distincly an adult. So you have to be careful. I was at a school visit once and it was what was it? Like the where everybody comes in the evening and like the scholastic thing, and they were going to be showing Paddington in the room where I was doing this. So every single kid in there just wanted to watch Paddington, and I was the warm-up act. And so cue 100 kids going, when is Paddington? Have you seen Paddington? Can we watch Paddington now? Even adults got in on it, ma'am. And to the point that when I call on someone, I was like, if this is about Paddington, can you all put your hands down if this is about Paddington? And every hand goes down. So I don't do those kind of book show things anymore. And kids are eating hot dogs. I just cannot.
Yeah. Been there. I was the opening act for a big public viewing of High School Musical 2.
Okay.
And I remember talking to the director of recreation. I said, hey, this is a really big deal. And how did you get Disney to let you do this? Because they're really proprietary. And he looks at me and goes, get permission? We're running a cable from Mrs. McGurdy's house over there.
It's the whole school visit thing is really, it's so wonderful. And it's also, I super sometimes struggle with social anxiety. And it's funny how I can, if I'm around 3 adults, I'm terrified, and I can be with 600 kids and I'm fine. Right. It's such a strange thing, but right after the pandemic, I did maybe one of the biggest visits I'd ever done, which was, 500 kids. And it was terrifying. I hadn't been around anybody. They couldn't sit still. They're all the little cute damp hands. And it was a lot. But, it's a gift to be able to do it. I enjoy it. I don't do a ton of it, but I do like it when I do it. It's fun.
What about the Canadian audiences, Mike? Are they different than the groups of kids we're in front of down here in the States?
No, they're kids through and through. They're mostly wanting just a story. When they hear that author's coming, that's what I find is some schools, maybe they prep the kids, they know who I am, they're excited. Other schools don't. I could pretty much be a parent walking in. They're just as excited to have a story read to them from me as it is a parent. Maybe that's just me. Maybe no one knows who I am, but that's fine. And I think I visited kids in the U.S. and in Canada, and I think the experience is very, very much the same. You have great experiences, and then you have interesting ones.
Yes, I like that. Great experiences and interesting.
An interesting one. I think, for us, it's easy because we, by and large, work on funny books. And I think that's if I was going in and reading, trying to think of something without disparaging anything, but, you could go in and read something that's probably wins a Caldecott and is really, really heartfelt and deep and everything. And then the kids love it, but they're thinking and they're processing, and maybe a teacher's helping, but it's kind of subdued. I've been in those kind of things, but we have it kind of easy because the whole task is just to make them laugh. That's it. That's the job. So it's fun.
We should tell everybody where they can go to find out more about Don't Lose Mr. Cuddles and more about both of you. Why don't we start with you, Mike?
MikeBoldt.ca is my main website, and all the social links are on that.
Awesome. And Dev?
DevPetty.com, and all my social stuff is there. And this is a fun one. I think the process of just choosing the name Mr. Cuddles was 37 emails as we flirted with Brian and that was the Family Guy dog, but 35 different suggestions, at least 135. So we squared up with Mr. Cuddles, and it suits it, and it's a really fun one. So I hope kids dig it.
Awesome. We've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of Don't Lose Mr. Cuddles. Our guests have been Mike Boldt and Dev Petty. Hey, my friends, thanks for being back on Reading with Your Kids.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Really good time. Thanks.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
855-325-1823. 855-325-1823. That's 855-325-1823.
Join us right now from Phoenix in the lovely state of Arizona. Our guest is here today to celebrate or to encourage us all to raise our kids to bring value into the world. And I hope I said that right. Please welcome to the show the CEO of Dinner Table, Lee Benson. Hey, Lee, how are you?
I am well, Jed. Thanks for having me today. I'm looking forward to this discussion. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to it too. Did I mangle my introduction of what your goal is?
Not at all. It's right. We're basically a community of families raising kids to create value in the world, and a place to go for practical family wisdom and build on that. There's really no limit to how we can create value as a family, and our kids are such a big part of that.
So let's talk a little bit about that. When you mention creating value, I'm guessing you're not talking about generating lots of money necessarily.
Yeah, we think about creating value holistically, and there's three macro buckets that we put that in. One is material. Most understand that for sure. It's money, it's things, but we want to keep it in balance with the other two. And the second is emotional energy. And I would say positive emotional energy, at least to me personally, is the scarcest commodity on the planet, because when it's running really high, let's say on a scale from 1 to 10, when it's on 9 or 10, it supercharges everything we do. When it's on 1 or 2, it makes it difficult to almost do anything. So what does it feel like to be in the family? For each family member, the kids, the parents, et cetera, how do we impact that in the family? And we can create a lot of value there, and we can grow and improve what it feels like to be in the family. The third bucket, which I think is a lot around the work that you're doing, and I love it, we call it spiritual value creation, but at its core, it's about connectedness. So how connected are our kids with themselves? Do they understand why they feel and think the way they do, so they can, continually cultivate that? Do they understand how they impact the family when it comes to being, connected? How strong are those connections in the family? Extended family, communities important to the family, purpose, a higher power that's important to the family. Like all of that, connectedness is so important. So that's really how we think about it. It's holistic value creation and keeping it in balance, because how we feel going through life, Jed, to me it's everything. And if it's out of balance and it's only about the money, it doesn't feel good. I know a lot of very wealthy people that are just not that happy, not that fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You mentioned connectedness, and one of the things that I've seen a lot, especially on social media, and I recently read something that there seems to be this trend and with a lot of folks in the psychiatric community where they're encouraging folks who have had some difficulty with family to go no contact, just kind of walk away, and that really bothers me, because I do understand that families aren't perfect, but I don't think the answer is to walk away from each other. I think there's ways that we can work out and stay connected with each other.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think one of the biggest things we've shifted away from, let's say here in the United States, and I think it's happening in a lot of countries, is that we're shifting away from strong, healthy, supportive communities. And it starts with the family. So I think everything we do should be in support of that. Now, I do think that there are extreme examples. Dysfunctional families are completely normal. Like, that is normal. If it was a perfect family, that would be abnormal to me. I don't think there's not a lot of those. But there are cases where, I believe in unconditional love. I don't personally believe in unconditional relationships. If family members take advantage of each other, in every interaction, no matter what happens, at some point, maybe we have to give them some space to figure that out and not keep enabling really bad behavior. But I think that's a small percentage. I think for the most part, we should do everything we can to strengthen what it means to be in the family. And, the way we talk about it at dinner tables, we want to build family legacy, no matter where you begin, and it's holistic legacy. What does it mean to be in the family? What does it feel like to be in the family? So we want to strengthen, in the current generation, the material value creation, emotional energy, the connectedness on the spiritual side, pass that on in a way where they can generationally grow all of those things and in the right balance. Does that make sense, Jed?
I think so. Yeah, I agree that there are some extreme cases where we do need to kind of protect ourselves and step away. But and again, it's on the far end. It's few and far between.
Yes, I agree. I don't know what the percentage is, but my experience is in the 1% range. Let's lean in and go for it, and let's all, in the family, let's own improving what it feels like and what it means to be as part of the family. And I do see a lot of families, kids can get disconnected and they kind of fold their arms and just wait for the world to lay out perfectly for them. I see adults the same way. Well, hey, let's all lean in. Let's have a job for the family and do this work together. Let's set goals as a family together. Let's all do our job so we have a higher chance of achieving those goals.
Yeah. One of the things when I first got the pitch from your team to have you on, the name of your organization, Dinner Table, really kind of piqued my interest, because in addition to reading with my kids, I know that the fact that we are connected and we have this great connection, not only with our adult kids, but with their significant others, a lot of that was built at the dinner table and sitting down every night and spending time together and talking about our days with each other. And I think I really want to encourage that, because I think we're so busy these days that doesn't happen as much as it should be happening.
Yeah, 100%. And the dinner table is where all of the value creation conversations, I think probably a lot of them should be happening. It's where they can happen. We encourage, families to have different family members. Different kids can lead the conversation on Tuesday night. On Thursday night, we're going to talk about how our day went and how we want to create value in the world. We could talk about the next family vacation, check-ins, all of that. And I think you're right. So many families these days are so busy, and even when they do sit down at the table, they're looking at their devices. They're not being there with each other.
Yeah.
So 100%.
So how does this work? If a family wants to get involved with Dinner Table, how does that happen?
Yeah, first, answer that question. Go to dinnertable.com and please join our free community. And it's kind of a way of dipping your toe in the water to see what this is all about. And then you can join, tighter knit, smaller communities, and we have lots of those. So this is something I've been thinking about for, about 10 years. I live in Arizona, and I'm really engaged with K-12 education, and I want to improve conditions for kids to learn. And in particular, learn that the purpose of an education is to create value in the world. It's not to go through a conveyor belt system, get a good grade, get a diploma, get a degree, get a job. In the current system, largely kids are learning or basically doing what they think they're supposed to do. And what we want is to bring it back to the family and say, hey, the purpose of an education is to create value in the world, and everything we learn should be moving them in that direction. Start somewhere, be the best you can possibly be at that thing, and then you'll discover what the next steps are as you go through it. So been thinking about it for a while. Fast forward, May 29th of last year, I was asked to come in and help with a business that the original model didn't work, completely changed it. And so in 11 months, we have about 39,000 and climbing parents in our dinner table family community. Last I looked, it was in 67 different countries that they're coming from. So this is really a movement of families, parents raising kids to create value in the world. And the best place to start is just join our free community at dinnertable.com and then work your way. And we have courses, we have content, we have all of this. And I personally run 2 in-person communities in Phoenix, and it is incredible what this has done for the community of these families and these kids in these different schools.
So let's talk about the communities that you're running. Do the parents come together with you on a weekly basis, monthly basis to kind of share tips, ask questions, find solutions?
Yeah, great question. So the partners that I'm running the communities for them, these are, they just happen to both be K-12 schools.
Okay.
And they have, their students in there. And I said, well, hey, we put the dinner table program in, and now the parents come to this session. And for each of these schools, it's one Saturday a month. So I have the first Saturday and the last Saturday where I go do this. It's a 2-hour session, 30 minutes of getting situated. It's in the mornings. So, hey, here's some food here, some coffee, and they can choose to bring their kids or not. The program is mostly for parents, giving them tools to do all this stuff, but it's been spectacular, in terms of how the kids are responding to it that come in the room. And these communities started, one of them, I've had going for 9 months now. It started with 3 families. Now there's 60 to 80 folks in the room, and we're going to need a bigger room, probably June, July, to fit all of it. And all I said was, hey, I encourage you to invite other families from the community. They don't have to be part of the school, because the initial parents were parents from the kids in these particular schools. And as they come in, it's growing that fast without even having to, advertise at all for it. And the new families coming in, they're enrolling, almost in every case, they're enrolling their kids in the school because they want their kids to be part of this environment. Now, what it looks like, it's a once-a-month session, and we do a deep dive into a topic. Foundationally, we have something called the dinner table method, and there's 4 parts to it. And this is a great way for families to create a value creation culture in their household. First part is value creation and how they talk about it. Second part is house rules. Third is financial competency. And fourth is healthy struggle. And so we have this foundation that we talk about. It's like a touchstone in these meetings, but then we'll get into topics like, hey, what are the adult traits and capabilities you would like your kids to have when they launch into adulthood? And so we go through all of that. And if they had these, how would it help your kids be more successful? How will it help the family be more successful? So there's a bit of a setup, Q&A to understand it. Parents individually do the work, talking with their kids if they're there. And then small groups of parents talk about what they discovered doing it. And then we do big shares towards the end with the entire group. Other topics, helping your kids discover their value creation superpowers. Is it, we want to create value and balance across the board, but maybe it's emotional energy. For example, I'm calling from my music studio. Elevating emotional energy through music has been a big part of my life ever since I was 5 years old. It's a big deal. So kids will have a strength in one of the categories over the others. So we help them discover that. We do deep dives into material value creation, emotional energy value creation, spiritual / connectedness valuation. We do a family financial forecast where there's a budgeting tool, and every line item has a family sponsor on it. Kids as young as 6 have line items that they sponsor. They add up the receipts. They do all of it. Makes it a team sport. Like, all this is about strengthening family connections and building a community of families that has each other's back. And I'm watching communities go from almost a victim culture, some of these in the lower income underserved communities, and within a few months turning into a culture of hope, and because we have each other's back. So again, like the work you're doing, we're strengthening connections within the family. Well, we're doing that and connections with communities of families that we're building.
I think that's super. I love the fact that you are talking about finances with families and with kids. I think that is so super important. We've talked a lot about financial literacy here on the podcast, and the fact that the best time to start talking to kids about money is like now, when they're 3, when they're 4, because so many families don't realize that you're talking about money when you say, well, you got to get good grades so you can go to a good college, and you have to get into a good college, and not saying, oh, how are we going to pay for that, and all that other kind of stuff.
Well, even that, a lot of folks will just say this, and I think it's because it sounds good. If they just get access to an education, everything will be amazing. That's not necessarily true. Mm-hmm. How many kids are going all the way through coming out of college with a lot of debt,
mm-hmm.
And it's on the family going through. So if we think about how do you want to create value in the world, let's start somewhere and discover what you're meant to do. And traditional education may not be, i.e. college, may not be the best path.
Mm-hmm.
The short story where I came from, and I wouldn't change anything about my life, by the way, super low income family, kicked out of the house the beginning of my senior year in high school. So I put myself through my last year. I was already financially independent by then. I was very competent and independent. But I started at 6 years old pulling weeds for 25 cents an hour. Of course, back in the late 60s, you could buy 2 candy bars and have change. It was good. But then it was shoveling snow and mowing lawns and paper routes and a dishwasher, busboy, cook, making $6 an hour as a cook when I was kicked out of the house. And we had a tough environment. There were family members in and out of prison, some for some really bad things. They taught me more about what I didn't want to do or how I didn't want to show up in the world. So fantastic lessons. But I started this whole outside world of trading my best efforts for other people's money. And I just kept building and increasing the value that I could create for them. And I got more over time. And then in the 80s, I played music. I was in rock and roll bands, played well over 1,000 nights. And since then, I've started 8 companies from scratch. I sold one for hundreds of millions of dollars. I've had one for tens of millions, one for a little less than, 10 million. And I'm still operating companies and doing all of it. So it doesn't matter where you start. I just look at the kids and say, you have to start, but you can if money's important to you, you can do more than I did as long as you start. And I encourage them to make sure they're creating a lot of positive emotional energy value through, fulfillment, through accomplishment, et cetera, and connectedness. You have so many communities that you're part of. Your family's the core, but then it goes out from there in so many different ways. I think the challenge today, Jed, with working with the kids, and I've worked with so many kids, and I just love it, is perspective. I can start out conversations that, the facilitated, conversations, 90 minutes, 2 hours. And when I do a temperature check in the beginning, a lot of them like, we probably won't really amount to much. And by the end, they're on fire. Like, we can start anywhere and go everywhere. So I think our job is just changing perspective with the kids so they can see that it's possible. And, I'm sitting here, you're looking at a 63-year overnight success story. I mean, you have to start somewhere and just keep going along. And yeah, it's going to be hard and there's going to be struggle as you go through it. But isn't all the opportunity in the world in the struggle? Then we have to put effort in to develop, really anything. So that was kind of a big, sort of background and answer to your question. Financial competency important. Help them understand they can start anywhere and go everywhere, and let's show them that and help them believe that it's possible. But again, you have to start. It can't be waiting for the thing to land on you. You have to start, be the best at that thing, and discover the next thing, and then you go down the road.
Yeah, I love that. I remember there was a time I heard somebody talking about kids having dreams and how kids with dreams, with goals, do better in school and they're happier and they're healthier. And I thought, well, what a silly study, because every kid has dreams. And then I thought, well, I'm in front of 600-700 kids every day doing my educational magic shows. And let me take a very unscientific survey. And I would ask, how many of you guys have a dream? Just just put up your hand. You want to grow up and be this or that. And I never had an audience where more than 40% of the kids raised their hands. And it was shocking to me. Yes.
Yeah, this goes back to perspective and attitude around all of that. And I actually think the largest pent-up, untapped value creation potential in America is in the low-income family kids, because they have the drive, and all we have to do is change perspective and get them started, and it's going to be amazing. And I'm proof that can happen. And I'm watching, as I've worked with thousands of high school kids on the virtues of entrepreneurship and all that, watching them over the years take that stuff and build on it. It's amazing what can happen. And as you get into the wealthier family kids, there's some amazing kids that create a lot of value in the world, but the majority of them are kind of out of balance and very entitled. And so how do we change that? And what we're doing at Dinner Table, it works for families in all, I would say, income brackets, if you will. But the challenges are different depending on how you stratify that going through. So I think they all can benefit from this, but I'm super interested in the sort of lower middle income and low income families, giving them hope and getting them started, and then building communities where they have each other's back. And if you say, hey, our family's really struggling financially, we would just like to do 10% better next year. Are you going to have a better chance of having that happen if you're on your own on an island figuring it out, or if you're working with a community of other families, talking about what your plan is and getting feedback on how to improve it? 100% of the time, when you've got a community helping you with that, it's going to get better. 100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, if a family, you mentioned families can go to Dinner Table, the website, and check it out and sign up for your free program. If they're looking to be part of a community in their hometowns, should they go to their school and say, hey, can we do this as the school, or do they just go by themselves and then get connected with other people who are already in the program?
Yeah, folks so we have our very large free community, 39,000 and climbing. And then we have a family elite community, where domestically here in the United States, we charge $30 a month to be part of that community. And these are virtual communities, and there's thousands in that community. And then we have a family elite plus community, which is a even deeper dive. Both are meeting intensely, once a month. We record those sessions. If you can't make it, you get to watch them. But you get put into a online community where you can interact with each other, access to courses, content, videos, all kinds of things in there to help you on your value creation journey. And then schools that would like to be a partner with Dinner Table, they set this up, and it's in person for the families of the kids going to that, the parents, the kids, all of that are going to the school, and they can become a partner and get certified as Dinner Table coaches to do this work, for their community. The really cool thing for school partners, I knew it would help, but I'm blown away at how fast it's going, is that when you invite other families in that aren't directly involved with the school, enrollment's jumping 40, 50, 60% in just a couple of months, which is a big, really important deal. And then what we're getting testimonial wise from the parents is the kids are showing up different at home, and from the teachers, they're showing up different in a better way, a more productive way, I would say, in the classroom. So all of that, yeah. And you can, if you go to dinnertable.com, there's all the community choices, super easy to see where you want to, jump in here and help create more value for your family, as well as go to the partner page and be a K-12 partner. You'll see the benefits and the easy, 4-step process to get going.
Wonderful. I love what you're doing. I think, connection, having kids create value is so important. And I'm really happy that you were able to come on and share this with us. So the place to go is dinnertable.com.
That's right. You can learn everything you need to know there. Thank you.
Excellent. So you can just tell them that Lee and Jedley told you to gone over and they'll take good care of you.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And if you want to join one of the communities, just use the code JED, J-E-D, and join one of our communities.
All right. JED community. That's kind of scary. Lee, thank you so much. We've had a great time speaking about Dinner Table and about creating value with our kids. Lee Benson, thanks so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Thank you, Jed. I enjoyed this.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. In the meantime, please connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, @readingwithyourkids on Instagram, @JedLeeMagic on X. We have a great YouTube channel, youtube.com/readingwithyourkids. And of course, our website is readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guests, Deb Petty and Mike Boldt. Please be sure to check out Don't Lose Mr. Cuddles. Also want to thank Lee Benson. Please be sure to check out Dinner Table and his Value Creation Kid program. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Chris Doherty, Stella Charade. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.